Welcome to Design Downtime, the podcast where we celebrate the joys of living a balanced, creative life. I'm your host, Guy Siegel, a design director in Toronto, Canada, and I invite you to join me on this journey as we redefine what it means to be a successful design professional. Let's break free from the shackles of hustle culture and embrace the full spectrum of human experience, because life is too precious to be spent only in pursuit of productivity. Today, I'm thrilled to talk to Odette Jansen. Odette has spent 15 years in UX. She leads research and content at ING, and she also runs UXR Study, a training platform for UX researchers used by over 80,000 professionals worldwide, with courses, templates, and support on everything from research to UX leadership. She's got a Bachelor of Sciences in UX and a Master's of Education in Talent Development and Diversity. She's late diagnosed autistic and ADHD, and that shapes a lot of her work. She's spent a long time looking at how organizations overlook neurodivergent people and how to build places and leaders that don't. Odette, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here.
We're going to have a few episodes about video games this season, and this is the first one. And so I'm very excited.
Oh, well, now I feel extra special because I'm also a woman. So I feel like that just makes it even better.
And today you want to talk specifically about city building games.
Yes.
I think before we get into, so I usually start with the origin story, like how did you get into this thing that you're into? But I'm also, I don't mean to sneak in some work stuff here, but as designers, we like to define things. When you say city building games, what are you referring to?
It's funny because I assumed you would ask something like, oh, why this specific type of games? And I've been thinking about this for the last month or so. Why specifically this one? To give a little bit of an origin story, I've always been super into video games, and I used to play video games with my brother after school almost every day. That was Crash Bandicoot and stuff. But quickly, as he grew up, he got a lot better at those types of games. And we would play this version of when you die, you pass the controller. But for me, that meant I played 5 seconds and then he would play half an hour. So that's at some point wasn't as fun anymore. And as we grew older and I started to look for a study, I actually went into game design because I was super interested into how to make those types of games, and maybe ones that I could beat my brother in. And from there, I went into UX, so that's a little bit that side. I worked in games for a little bit, but it also took a bit of the joy away from gaming. And so I played a lot less games while I worked in games. And so when I left games, I actually got that back. One of the things that I found out is that I do like story-driven games, something that really lose yourself in. Same with a good book. But sometimes they're really big and they take a lot of time, and I don't always want to get super obsessed with something and then lose all of this time into it or not have time for other stuff. And so city builders were actually the type of game that were easy to pick up and put down. And I could come back after a month and everything would still be, known. And the same thing as well is it is maybe a little bit of control. I like nitty gritty things. I like being able to decide where everything goes and how to grow things and make things better. And it's something that I can, I actually make Excel sheets for how to track, for example, management of certain parts of the buildings or of the cities that I make. So I do get a bit obsessed, maybe as obsessed as with story games, except they're easier to put down. Yeah.
Let's go back to definition. What are city building games? Where do you put the border around them?
Yeah, I think this was also something I was thinking about as I was looking at my Steam library to sort of figure out what is categorized as a city builder. And for me, it's basically anything that allows me to build structures and manage them and maybe upgrade them over time. And it takes a little bit of maybe strategy or management in terms of getting the resources to be able to build something, to be able to upgrade something. And you have very simple city builder games of just you have a little cottage, you do a little bit of farming, and then you go back and you interior decorate, for example. But I like them often a little bit more complicated, where I have to be mindful of the resources.
It's mostly about the resource management for you.
Yeah, to be able to build something bigger, yeah.
Okay, we're getting to the proper origin story question. What was that first city builder game that you ran across?
Ooh, I think it was City Skylines, the first one. I'm not sure if it's actually the first one, but it's the first one where I thought, "Oh, this is my thing." And it was actually my husband, then boyfriend, who went, "Have you ever played this? Because I think you would really like this." And then it's a miracle we're still together because I really went into that game, and I started. I don't know if you know the game, but basically it's Cities Skylines. You actually like build cities, so you have to make all the roads and the infrastructure. And I was at that point putting hundreds of hours in and actually like had a Google Maps next to it open on the screen so that I could rebuild the entire city of Rotterdam to a degree that was like super accurate. Yeah. And I think that was when I was like, yeah, this is it. Oh, but actually, sorry, now that I think about it, going way back, do you know Zoo Tycoon, the game where you had to like make your own zoo?
Yes.
I think that's the actual origin story, maybe. Because, yeah, that was, making the zoos and putting all the habitats in and making sure they were nice and the animals were happy and they could get along and stuff. I think maybe that was the one.
So it sounds like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but you are really looking for as granular control as possible within those games. Is that right?
This sounds almost like a psychology session. Uh, yeah, I think what I really like about it is that it's almost like a blank canvas. Like when you get a new design project and it's like, okay, what problem are we going to solve? It feels a little bit like that, except I have no stakeholders, I have no team members. It is just me, and I can figure it all out on the go. I can make as many mistakes as I want because it's just delete, structure, continue. So yeah, I think it's a little bit that.
I never played City Skylines, and I'd love to hear more about what the game offers. But I played, SimCity and SimCity 2000s. And one of the things I really enjoyed, like I think a lot of other players, was build a city and then send some disasters to destroy it and see what happens.
But don't you get attached? Like I always get super attached to the stuff that I build, and if then a disaster happens, that actually makes me sad because I spend so many hours building something.
So I never got that attachment. That is very interesting. It was for me, building the city was a means to destroy it, if it makes sense.
Hmm.
And less about let's learn about how the intricacies of a sewage system works with, where you place the telephone poles and those kind of things.
Oh yeah, I think for me it's that part. It's like, ooh, and can it be smarter and faster and with less resources? And yeah.
You started playing, you had Zoo Tycoon in the past and then City Skylines. Tell me more about City Skylines because I'm not familiar with the game. Like what makes it special for you?
Yeah, so the one thing I did was I installed quite a lot of mods that make the game better because it has a really big community of people that mod the game. And for me, it was, yeah, starting from scratch and then having all these grand plans. Like sometimes I would even like draw out how I would want the cities to look and my plans for like the future because as your city basically grows, you unlock things. It gives you access to new things. So you start with like simple houses and then you get some shops, but at some point you get parks and maybe theme parks that you want to put in. But then your city is already super dense and you have to like think about, okay, how do I like remove houses to make place for a park? But then those people are going to be unhappy because you've just destroyed their houses. And so, which I hate because it's sad, for those people. I know they're digital, they're not real, but it's sad for those people to lose their houses. And so I tried to sketch out from the beginning, basically, how much space I would need to have a park left in the middle. And so I would just build, blocks with like open spaces until I would unlock those things so that I could then place the park in or place a theme park in so that no one would be disappointed.
When you build a city, do you have an idea in mind of what you want to achieve, or is it something that emerges as you play?
So it depends a little bit on the game. So for City Skylines, in the beginning, it's very much like discovering the game and how does it work and how do you get what. Then at some point, you sort of like want to challenge yourself a bit. So that's when I started to open Google Maps on the site and try to see if I could rebuild cities in the Netherlands, which is incredibly hard, by the way, if you're ever going to try. So yeah, it starts as a little bit of more exploration, and then it's like, how can I make it more difficult for myself? Because then when you achieve it, it's kind of a cool feeling, and then I can go to my husband and be like, look, I made Rotterdam.
Is running the city, once you have it built, is that easier than in real life? Do you feel like, oh, I've done a better job than the real Rotterdam?
I mean, probably not. Also because I abandoned the city at one point, and a real mayor or government shouldn't do that. So in that sense, I don't think I'm better. I think when everything runs properly and I'm like, I did a good job. And I'm like, okay, next game or different, new, erase it all, start over.
Other than building or recreating real cities in the game, what are some other ways that you challenge yourself? Do you ever say, you know what, I'm going to build a city, but I'm not going to give them any electricity, for example, and see how they function?
How cruel. Why would you do that? I honestly think that the game wouldn't allow you to, because nothing would run without something like that. Yeah. No, it's an interesting thought. I think I challenge myself more on like the creative aspects, like, oh, could I build this? So for example, in Planet Zoo, don't know if you know that one.
No, I don't.
Okay, so Zoo Tycoon was an old game, and then Planet Zoo is basically like the newest version. It is super detailed, like you can literally place every leaf on the ground. And the whole point is to build zoos that are very profitable. It's a great game. I have over 400 hours in it, and end of the year a new one comes out, and I'm so excited because it's got aquariums, and I'm already planning on what to build. But in the current version that I have, because the game is so big and so complex, that's where I could like continuously challenge myself by saying, oh, I'm going to, like, I recreated Disneyland Florida in the game by building, like the flower beds with the Mickey Mouse head step by step. So I've got over 400 hours in it because it's meticulous work. But the fun part about that one is also that you have to find the animals for the zoo. You have to buy those, and you have to breed them, and then you have to set them free to make sure that the wild is good. I think there, part of the interest is also that you can learn a lot about the animals. And so I've always been super into animals, especially aquatic, which is why the new Planet Zoo is going to be fantastic. But now when we go to zoos, and I've always been autistic, and I like random facts. And so because of putting 400 hours in Planet Zoo, I often go like, did you know? And then random facts. And my parents are always like laughing so much. It's like, oh my God, of course, you know something about this random bird. So yeah,
that's awesome. I should definitely check that out, because games like Zoo Tycoon or Theme Park Tycoon, I play that as well. It's always a bit more interesting than making sure people get to work on time and there's no congestion on the roads.
Yeah,
because that's real life.
Yeah, I get that. That can be a little bit depressing. Be like, yeah, I'm one of those people in day to day.
I'm curious to know, because there is, in most of these games, I'm assuming there's kind of a spectrum of realism versus sort of like creative free play. I don't know how it is in Cities Skylines or Planet Zoo, but in some other games, there's a mode where you can say, you know what, don't give me any restrictions of resources. Let me do whatever I want. And it's more about, I can build unrestricted versus I'm constrained by natural resources, by money, by those kind of things. Where do you see yourself on that spectrum?
Yeah, that's a good one. The sandbox mode. I try it sometimes because I then have these grand ideas of stuff that I want to build. But because there's no challenge in terms of money, resources, and whatsoever, it just gets boring. And so I always revert back to the standard mode, basically, where you have to unlock things over time and where things happen, like animals break out or there's a storm, and you have to make sure that the polar bear doesn't run off with the visitors.
You put 400 hours in Planet Zoo. I'm assuming you put probably more in City Skylines.
Actually not. I checked, and I have about 200 in City Skylines and 400 in Planet Zoo. Yeah.
Fair enough. You've created cities. You've done amazing things. Is there a community where you get to share those things, where you get to see what other people are creating?
Yeah, so for Planet Zoo, actually, I put some of my things on the Steam community as well. So the Disney stuff that I was making, other people do that as well. So then you can also take their designs into your game, which is fun. So someone made Main Street completely from scratch and put it on the on the Steam community, so I could just get it and not have to rebuild the entire thing myself. So that's nice, but it's not like I actually talk to people and be like, I'm making all of these things. What are you making? Should I make that? I bother my husband with it, who then laughs because it's like, yes, of course, you've built Disneyland.
Are there any challenges from the community? Let's try to do this thing with these kind of resources or with this approach.
Yeah, so Planet Zoo actually does that. It's not necessarily from the community. I think those are like more like timed events from the game itself, where it's like, oh, we as a community, so anyone that plays Planet Zoo, we have to release this many crocodiles back into the wild. And so then when you're playing, that's something that you can add to and you get extra points, which helps with buying new animals. But I have to say, I don't very often do those because I'm like, they've got this. I'm just going to build my own thing.
So you mentioned Cities Skylines, where you build a city. You mentioned Planet Zoo, where you build a zoo. What are some other, maybe more weird or niche types of city builders that you played?
I was so hoping you would ask me this because 4 years ago, I found a game. I still play it. I have also almost 400 hours in that one. It is called Timberborn. I'm going to explain it. So imagine you are now. It is such a good game. Basically, apocalypse. There is no world left over. It's just barren wasteland. Maybe there's a few trees here and there. And you are now responsible for a colony of beavers that you have to make sure, right? Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
They survived the apocalypse, and now you have to help them thrive again. That's basically the premise. It still sounds weird when I explain this game to people, but you start with 7 or so beavers, and they have very little. They have a little bit of water, they have a little bit of food, and you have to make sure that they survive. And so you have to build houses, you have to build structures, you have to make sure that they have wood to build things, water. And that game is way more challenging, frustrating at times because you get droughts and you have to make sure that there's enough water stocked up. You have to make sure there's enough food stocked up. They get old, they die. You have to make sure that they don't get sick. The bigger it gets, so I've made massive cities that have to like transport between cities as well. And the bigger it gets, the more not stressful, but challenging, maybe a little bit stressful, it gets to manage all of these different resources. It's an amazing game.
That sounds amazing. You play city builders by definition, they're about building a city. Do you ever go into a smaller scale or a larger scale, like games where you're just building your own house or games where you're...
I mean, we should probably not talk about the amount of hours I've put in The Sims over the years. I think that's over 1,000. I think that's been... I've played that game from Sims 1 all the way to I can't wait till Sims 5 comes out, basically.
Fair enough.
So yeah, smaller scale, that would be a house, yeah.
Yeah. I played back in a day with the SimCity days, I played Sim Earth, where you take control of the Earth. It was really interesting. And then I remember also playing Sim Ant, which was a simulation of an ant colony.
Huh, I've never heard of those two. No.
I'm sure you can get them, like they're like old PC games and you can probably play them online. They were really interesting. You have hours in these kinds of games. Have you ever thought of designing one yourself?
Yeah, I think when I was in uni, we actually did make a city builder game as part of our third year project, which was really fun to do. We had a really big team of 15 people and we had to design a game within 6 months. And that was a city builder tower defense type game where you had to build up your own structures. And then there would be raids, basically. But yeah, I think because when I got into games after graduating, it was serious games. So it was for healthcare and education. And then when I went into entertainment games, that was the only time I've been in entertainment games because that was the time where I went, I am not doing this anymore. I do not enjoy working in the game industry. And I'm just going to go product so that I can enjoy playing games. So yeah, I actually did it in university, but never feel like I want to make my own. There's so many good games out there. I just enjoy playing them. I play a lot of early access city builder games just to see what's out there, what people make.
So you mentioned the game that you designed in university, which was city building with a tower defense. Do you play other games where city building is not the center necessarily of the game. For example, XCOM. In XCOM, you build your base, but the game itself is about going and, capturing aliens and their technology.
I think I played that for a little bit back in the day, but I think now currently I'm playing Pal World. I put 40 hours in this week or last week. But that one is indeed, you build a base and then you go out to collect. They're almost a bit like Pokemon, but they got sued from Nintendo, so they're called Pals.
I think they called it Pokemon with guns.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it's that. Yeah. So my base looks stunning. It is like a castle, 5-floor castle. It's really cool. I've got labels on all the rooms. It's a multiplayer game online. My brother was making fun of me, actually texting me, like, why is your base so autistic? I'm like, but it's good. I know exactly where everything is. And when you come visit, you can just follow the signs.
So maybe not designing a game yourself, but what's your wish list for your ideal city builder?
That's a big question. I think I like when there's a lot of depth. Like I actually have to learn things. In Timberborn, you have to learn like the balancing of the droughts with the resources that you have. And in Planet Zoo, it's very much about understanding the different animals and how they cohabitate or not, and what they need in terms of food or shelter and stuff. I find it very interesting when there's a level of depth that teaches me something new. And I can also enjoy like the simpler ones, but they are not games that last. They're just fun for a month, like an ADHD obsession month, basically, and then I don't play them again. And the ones with depth, they come back over and over again. So definitely that, I like it when there's a lot of different things or different ways you could do something. So it's not necessarily, next upgrade for the house and another, but more so like you could go into all these different paths or materials or, I like them a bit complex so that they, I think, occupy my brain so that I don't think about other things.
This is not a question about work at all. Playing these games, have they helped you have a different understanding or a different view of the world around you?
I think it's more, and that's why I like coming on this podcast, it's more about I'm allowed to spend time doing these things. I think it's more that, and it's not weird that I do this. This is just a hobby that I have and something that I enjoy and something that at home, at least, we talk about this stuff a lot because we're both nerds. So it's something we get to share. Yeah, maybe not so much about the world outside, but more so like, this is okay. This is me. I don't have to always work. I don't have to always achieve. I mean, in the game, maybe I achieve, but I don't have to outside achieve, basically.
Right. And this is fully within your control. Like I said, I think I love that you mentioned no stakeholders.
Yeah. Yeah, it's why I often don't play like the campaigns, because then there's people in the game telling me, hey, we should build this. And I'm like, no, I don't want to build that. I want to build the other thing. So I just play, the challenge mode where you do have to build stuff and you yourself decide how to continue. But I don't want another zookeeper there going, we need more zebras. I'm like, no, I'm saving for an elephant. Go away.
When you go out walking around your city, do you ever look around and say, oh, I wish this was more like this game. I wish I could control this thing.
Oh no, I do it the other way around. So this weekend we were in a zoo again, and I literally walk around thinking I could build that. And then sometimes I even make photos and I like remake it in like Planet Zoo. So this weekend we were in a zoo and my husband looked at me and I'm like, I see it too. That one. I could definitely remake that. That would be cool. Yeah.
That is awesome. Does he play those games as well?
Not as much. No, he's more. So we play Pal World together because it's a lot of fun. Because he logs on and he goes, "What happened to the base?" I'm like, "I labeled it." But sometimes if we can find multiplayer city builders, we play them maybe for a day or so, and then he's off doing his own thing again. But I can get really into them in depth.
Based on your expertise with these games, if someone wants to try their hand in like, what are these city builder games all about? Give me a few that you would recommend people look into, and what's interesting, what's the twist about them?
I mean, Timberborn, besides the fact that it is about beavers, I think the cool thing about that game is that you don't really know, maybe this is why you would like it. You don't really know when a disaster would hit you. You just know that it's coming. You're sort of trying to like prep for the next disaster, not knowing when it's going to come. And it could mean you forget other things, or you're short on other stuff because you're so focused on this drought, this disaster that's going to happen. I find that game very interesting because it is a bit of a stressful game with resource management and building. I think the Planet Zoo is really fun for people that just like being really creative because it is so, everything is so open, plus animals. There is also Planet Coaster. I played it for a little bit, but for me it lacked a bit of the depth that you get with the zoo because it's building coasters, but it doesn't have all the animals and different habitats and that sort of stuff. Cities Skylines, I mean, if you're going to play that, I would say play the first one. I hope they're not listening to it, but I was really disappointed with the second one because I felt like they sort of copied the first one, but then didn't add the cool things that modders also made that people were like, why is this not in there? So play the first one. Yeah, and I mean, on Steam, you can just like put the tag city builder and then you can find anything. There are games like Satisfaction, which I haven't played yet, where it's more, you have to go out more and gather resources yourself to bring back to your base to then build all these automations and stuff. My husband's super into that one. I've never played it, but I heard it's great. I mean, there's literally city builders for anything you like, I think.
Odette, where can people find you?
I think the easiest is on LinkedIn, which is just my name on LinkedIn, and on my UXR Study website. And that's it. I have no social media.
Lucky you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
This is all for this episode of Design Downtime. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, I hope you enjoy your downtime.